Hey guys, my name is Ryan, and welcome to Overwatch Central. Overwatch League Stage 4 has started, and with it comes Brigitte. With this, we can now see what the pros have been planning. Granted, it's the old hands instead of the new in the Overwatch League, but it doesn't really affect the support meta and how teams will actually deal with the new hero. So this is less of a video on how to play Brigitte, but more in the sense of what the pro teams have been doing to shut her down and drought her out, because there's been some really good examples already in the first day on how to deal with her. And these kind of strategies you can take into your own games fairly well. So we're going to be looking at some Overwatch League gameplay, and this video is brought to you by Omen by HP2, the official PC provider of the Overwatch League and PCs that all the pro players play on. And the first game that I actually want to look at is LA Gladiators versus San Francisco Shock, the first game of the first day. The reason is that this started on Blizzard World, and we're going to show the LA Gladiators attacking, and as you can see, it's fairly mirror comped right now. You've got the triple supports, Zarya, Reinhardt, and a DPS, which has been switched out from Widowmaker, from Pharah, Junkrat, and those L2. Haven't actually seen much Hanzo other than in double sniper strategies, but as I said, that's old Hanzo. But this isn't what I want to necessarily focus on. We can kind of know and expect what to happen in these engagements. It's basically who gets a better grab and who has to follow up when it goes in. But I actually want to highlight San Francisco Shock's attack because it fell apart completely when they're trying to run the triple support. Before I do that, however, I do need to show LA Gladiators and how basically this triple support Brigitte comp should be ran, and actually the mistakes that San Francisco Shock are making. See, you don't need to be a genius to know that Brigitte likes to be up close and personal. So how do you beat that? Well, it has a lot to do with the effective DPS and where you're positioning yourself. If you position yourself on the high ground or at distance like a Junkrat, Widowmaker, or Pharah want to be, then that's perfect. Brigitte cannot do anything because the team is so far away from her. She can't activate her passive to start healing people around her. So she's effectively a sitting duck. They can't do any form of like long range DPS, can't heal anybody realistically around her other than her armor packs, and because of that gets droughted out. So what do you do if you don't want to run into this? Well, you sort of sit on the point and kind of wait for the triple support team comp to just run over you. And that's exactly what we just saw on screen with LA Gladiators and San Francisco Shock. But I do actually want to sort of slow this down and talk about what went wrong. So both teams are running basically the same composition. Architect is on Junkrat on defense, which is understandable, but Shofor's on the Pharah. And as you're seeing, LA Gladiators have zero pressure to get onto the point, and they're actually touching it and barely take any damage. The poke sort of phase for San Francisco Shock was just non-existent. They waited on the point for Gladiators to get there, and then just started swinging their hammers. But with the pressure that LA Gladiators are putting on, they're looking for an elimination, and Fisher just basically outplays people here. Shofor's constantly putting out damage, Fisher gets a charge into super, and a very quick earth shot comes on through just because they were able to output so much damage, and San Francisco Shock just have to give it up. There's very little they can do. 3 eliminations realistically came from that, and the Shock just have to back off and try and find another avenue. Architect switches to Widowmaker, but already by then, 5.5 minutes on the clock for LA Gladiators to push from this first point. That was just a non-existent first phase for the defending team to deal with. So what did they do wrong? Well, there was no poking phase from San Francisco Shock to actually sort of push onto the point. We can sort of see from Architect's percentage that he's not really doing an awful lot of damage. In fact, he's not doing any damage by the time that Los Angeles Gladiators get onto the point. So he's been completely shut down by what LA Gladiators are doing, and Shofor's just sitting back quietly, putting out a lot of damage because there's only so much healing that the Shock can put out. And in a nutshell, Architect just doesn't get Riptide quick enough. So you get the idea of what not to do. You don't just sit there and wait for Brigitte to get onto the point, because I feel by then you've lost, even if you have a Brigitte of your own. If you're the defending team, especially first point, and you lose somebody on your team, it's a lot worse for you than it is for, say, the enemy. Both teams were running Mercy so they can resurrect them, but it's more about the follow-up, and basically the Gladiators had that a lot more than the Shock did. Now we're going to be looking at what you should be doing if you want to shut down an offensive Brigitte triple support comp, because I'm really impressed with how Gladiators went about this. First of all, we need to look at the team comps. We'll start with San Francisco Shock, as there are a few changes on the support lineup. See, triple support mostly boils down to Brigitte, because obviously Mercy for the resurrection and the damage boost and the amount of healing that she could put out, but mostly is there to damage boost like the Widowmaker, the Junkrat, the sole DPS on your team. Then you have Zenyatta, which is there for the healing that he can put out, the Discord Orb obviously, and also the Transcendence, which can be good in a pinch. San Francisco Shock are actually running a different lineup. They're going to be running Lucio instead of Mercy with Moth because they want to get to the point a lot quicker, and Sleepy's going to be running Ana. I'd like to see Ana be a bit more viable because Ana can shut down triple supports fairly well. Why is that? Well, half the enemy team heals people, so if you're playing Anna and you can get a good anti-heal grenade in there, doesn't matter how many supports you have on your team. The target of that anti-heal will be stuck in an issue where you can actually take him out of a fight fairly well. But more so, I want to highlight what Gladiators are running. See, there's no Brigitte at all. In fact, they have an Orisa, they have 2 DPS heroes and 2 supports, so it's a fairly standard 2-2-2 lineup. But it's more about where Gladiators are positioning themselves. They have Mercy and Zenyatta because they are the staple support meta picks right now, even without Brigitte. But again, you have the Widowmaker, you have the Junkrat long-range DPS that want to do damage from a distance. Siltfred can put out a chunk of damage, wants to build up his Riptide as fast as possible, and Showfall can actually get that pick potential by trying to go crazy flanks and shut San Francisco out from the point. And that's basically what happens. If we have a look over that again, San Francisco Shock basically get droughted out on the point. Gladiators are positioned a lot further forward than Shock. Shock would just sat on the point waiting for Gladiators to get there, but instead Gladiators are going to be on this little perch of high ground and just putting Shock under so much more pressure. Nevix gets taken out by a trap and then finished off by Siltfred, and then Showfall finishes off Architect that's trying to go and find a pick when they're all on this high ground. From there, Bishu and the rest of Gladiators could just usher Shock away from the point, and this was kind of par for the course for the rest of this match. See, Siltfred is already on 54% of getting his Riptire, and it's chunking up considerably with the amount of damage that he's able to put out, which is completely different to Architect, who was on about 15% by the time the Gladiators got onto the point. Now Shock need to go and fight for this area, but they're so high on ult charge and they've already got that Riptide that they're going to use that it basically means that Shock are constantly going to be shut out with the ult economy that Gladiators will always be building up. Then sort of San Francisco Shock shoot themselves in the foot. They were really close to having an Earth Shatter, but they switch over to Winston, and Moth gets off Lucio, goes to Mercy, Sleepy gets off Anna, goes to Zen. But it doesn't really get any better. San Francisco Shock are in this like transitioning composition because Nevix is rather close to a rally and Sinatra is quite close to a grab. And also not only that, Nevix plays the Diva for Shock and Sinatra plays the Tracer. So 2 people have to switch their roles in a team. And Los Angeles Gladiators making their way and do get 6 ultimates on this defense, so they're fairly comfortable. But the main difference on some of these maps like Blizzard World where triple support can be really effective is putting a lot of pressure onto the team as they're pushing in. Do not give any ground away for free. That's where Orisa becomes really good. Junkrat, Widowmaker. It's that anti-dive comp to an extent, but it's all about making use of the space that the attacking team could be seen as getting for free. You don't want to do what Shock does and just wait for the Brigitte to get onto the point, because especially if you're not running your own Brigitte, there were times where divers just ran. It was great. It was a really diverse meta like Muma predicted. However, just because it's on an older patch with the old Hanzo doesn't necessarily mean that we can't take this information that the pros are giving us and take it into our own ranked games. Here's the main thing. If you're defending and you expect the enemy team is going to run Brigitte, you've got to create space for yourself. You can't fight close range and expect to win, especially if you don't have a Brigitte of your own. It's all about managing the space that you have, giving some heroes a wide berth like Brigitte, because she can't realistically do anything if you as a defender team are keeping your distance and making sure that she can't get any damage done. But this was a perfect example of what you should be doing into Brigitte triple support comps. It's not impossible to take down. You don't need to run it mirror to beat it. You just need to be a lot smarter with your picks and really make a team running triple support into you work hard for every inch that they want to fight for. Because if you just let them come to you, they will win 9 times out of 10. But that's it for this time. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Big thanks to Omen by HP for helping us bring this video to you. Like and subscribe if you want to see more of it. Thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you then.